I got so worried there were going to be no flowers. Wow.
I would have just made it this second.
Wow.
That's how fast I do it.
Beautiful.
Okay, commonly known pasuk. And the reason I'm talking about this is because you're going to see. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabla. We all know, come my beloved, meet my bride. Let us welcome the Shabbos. Very common. Everyone knows it. Vehina Shabbat nikrat kala. So Shabbos is called a kala. Venikrat malka, and it's called a queen. Kama amar Shabbat malkata. The pasuk says Shabbat malkata. It's a Shabbos. It's the queen. Okay, so Shabbos is like a bride, and also like a queen. Dehina chatan v'kala. So it's like the Shabbos is the relationship between Shabbos and a bride is, you can look at the fact that there's, when it comes to a physical bride and groom, the groom is called a king, melech, k'te'ita b'pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer it says, chatan domeh lemelech, that a chassan on his wedding day is likened to a king, v'akala nikrat malka, and that the kala is likened to a queen. So we have to understand, if Shabbos is the bride and the queen, who's the queen, who's the king, and who's the groom. Dehinaktiv naaseh adam betzalmenu. It says ketmutenu. It says that understand this concept of queen. It says that man is made in our image, our being something that's not man, right? Da'adam shelemata hu betzelem udmut adam ha'elyon shehem asfirot ha'elyonot. So man down here was created in the image of God, right? Everyone has heard that before, that man is created in God's image. And God's image, spiritually, if we could look at like attributes, like his eyes, his nose, his face, if there was such a thing, God's image are the spheros. So all the spheros that we talked about, the 10 spheros in all the world, those are Hashem's attributes. Now, every single one of us has those 10 attributes. So if Hashem has 3 intellectual faculties, his attributes, chokhmah, bina, and dat, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, then we have those too. And so by better understanding Hashem, we can better understand ourselves. And by better understanding ourselves, we can understand Hashem's makeup. And because we were made in his image. Now, the top 3 intellectual spheras are called the Chabad spheras, Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat, right? The lower ones, which we said there's 10, so the top 3 are intellectual. Then come the emotive attributes, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. Those 6 between 4 and 9, they kind of exist as their own group. We said last week that Malchus is the last sphera. Malchus is kind of like a bridge or a mouth that speaks Hashem's wisdom or desires, as Mickey was talking about, that it speaks Hashem's desires. So everything that happens from Hashem's desire and his wisdom of what he wants, all the way down through what he feels in the midos, is spoken through Malchus. So technically you can take the 10 spheras and put them into 3 groups. You have Chokhmah, Bina, Dat, which are the 3 intellectual ones, the Chabad faculties, as they're called. There's the Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, which are the 6 emotive attributes. And then Malchus kind of doesn't even have its own attribute. It literally just bridges the gap between whatever it receives and whatever it delivers to whoever it delivers it to. So a common term in Chassidus or in Kabbalah for these 6 emotive attributes in the middle, 4 through 9, so not the intellectual, not Malchus, is called Zeir Anpin. So if you ever hear this term, Zeir Anpin, it literally means like a small face. This makes up basically Hashem's face. So if you took Hashem and you drew like a little stick figure, right, and you drew his head or his brains, that would be Chokhmah, Bina, Dat, everything that resides in Hashem's head. And if you want to draw Hashem's face, it would be made up of those 6 emotive attributes. So the 6 midos, they're called Zeir Anpin, like Hashem's little face, basically. So within each world, there's these 3 intellectual, the 6, and then Malchus. And like we said before, we know that in the world of Atzilus, which is the highest of the 4 spiritual worlds, everything that drips down from all the way from Chokhmah all the way down into Bina and Dat, and then works its way through Hashem's face in that world, is then transferred into the next word via Malchus. So after Malchus of Atzilus, you have Chokhmah of Bria again, and that same thing happens, and then it goes into Yetzirah and Asiyah. So through those 4 worlds, there's 10 spheros, and each one, it's like Hashem's makeup in that world. So since the spiritual worlds reflect Hashem, and then we are made in his image, then as we come down here, first of all, our souls have the 10 spheros because our souls were existing before the world. So Hashem created us in his image. But then when he created man in a physical form, he also created our animal souls or our bodily souls in the same image. So you have 10 spheros of your soul on your godly soul and 10 spheros of your animal soul. So all of those mirror exactly Hashem's makeup, okay? So intellect, midos or emotions, and then malchus. So like Mickey said, you desire something, you don't know why you desire it, because your desire sits all the way up here in your brain. And then as a result of desiring it, you now feel certain things. Like I desire food, so because my body needs it, and now I get hungry all the time. That's a feeling. That's just expressing my desire. Then if I say to you, I want to go eat, or get me some food, please, that is me expressing my will that started all the way up here. Yes?
Isn't a desire more of a feeling than a thought?
It is, but it's a feeling that supersedes thought. So your desires control what you think about, and then as a result of what you think about, you dictate how you feel.
So one could really affect the other.
If, like, I have a son, he's 10 years old. He's...
Which one?
Noah.
Okay.
He's super awesome, but he gets fixated on everything, okay? So if he knows that we ordered him new Nikes, every single day, all day, he's thinking about when they're coming, whether they're out for delivery. He's checking the Amazon statuses. That's all he's thinking about, because his desire is new shoes. And that makes him feel crazy about when they're coming, right? He can all day start asking questions and use his intellect to figure it out, and how many stops away is he and what time is he coming, all this stuff, but it's all driven by his inner desire. So desire is, it plays on your feelings, but technically desire is a level that's above everything that you even understand about yourself, which is why even from a certain age, like nature versus nurture, you're already desiring certain things that someone else might not desire at all. Like anytime you hear the word taiva, right? What's your taiva? What's my taiva? It might be different, right? I might love milk and dairy together and I can't eat them, and that's a struggle for me. I mean, a milk, and you might not, and that's just different, right? So that isn't because I have some intellectual comprehension of that it's really good to want cheeseburgers. It's just, that's just what I want, right? So that desire could be a feeling. It affects your feelings, but actually comes from a place above your intellect, okay? Now we can talk about how working your intellect can actually change your desires too, so that what you naturally want, which is above your intellect, can change based on what you understand, but that's not for right now. Okay? So,
Can I follow up with that? Or
yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I'm just curious, like, if you, let's say you're super in touch with yourself, then you won't be able to figure out, like, why am I desiring that? I feel like if you know yourself better, then you'd be able to know that.
Why you desire certain things?
Yeah.
Sure, you can intellectually comprehend why you like certain things,
Right.
but that's
So
even
you're saying that you don't have control over, like,
there are certain things
No,
that
you
you
just want it.
naturally want.
right? But you can. You're saying you can know why.
Meaning, it kind of works backward. Let's just say you get hungry right now. Does your mind say, well, I haven't eaten in 8 hours and now I'm hungry, or you just kind of know it, right?
Right.
And now you feel certain things and you want certain things, and your actions are based on what you desired, right? You could understand, you could say, oh, why am I hungry? And then you could figure it out, right? But your brain doesn't have to say, oh, it's been 6 hours, I should be hungry. Make me feel hungry, right? Like you just kind of have it,
Okay.
right?
Got it.
Yeah. And that's more about like just natural, like innate desires that you would have anyway, that those things are kind of like just based on your genetic, spiritual makeup, the things that drive you. Like for someone, they could learn something 100 times, and to chazer it one last time, 101 time, that's what takes effort. Where for me, getting myself to do it the first time could be like the biggest accomplishment, right? So everyone has natural tendencies, and that's different. But yeah. Okay, so there's a pasuk that says, Kol nishmata v'nishmata hava kayama bedikuna kame malka kadisha. That every single soul, the image of every soul, at one point stood before Hashem, and this means that the world of Atzilus, which we said is the highest world, that's the world where things are so close to the sun that they feel like the sun, right? You don't even realize you're just looking at rays of the sun because they're so close. You feel so connected to Hashem all the time. Everything in that world, all through the 10 spheres, even the lowest sphera, even if you're going to be in Yesod of Atzilus, or you're going to be in Malchus of Atzilus, which is the bridge to Chochmah of Bria, the first sphera in the second world, you feel like you don't really exist, like it's just godliness in that world, okay? That is where Hashem births all neshamas. So all souls are born in Malchus of Atzilus, because that's kind of that first cutoff where things start to feel their own independent existence, meaning they're far enough away from the source that they start to feel like they have some existence. Remember, we said that the whole purpose of this whole creation was that Hashem had to recreate us anew every single day, like Modeh, but he had to do it in a way where we feel like we've been here and we can live without him, right? So that's kind of the test of this world. But where were the souls of Jewish people born? They were born in Malchus of Atzilus. So everything that Zeir Anpin, or the 6 emotive attributes, the small face of Hashem, was able to see and created in the world of Atzilus, was spit out through Hashem's mouth. Malchus is considered Hashem's mouth. So everything he desired and said, that those 6 emotive attributes are considered to be the king. We said Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, right? There has to be a Shabbat Malkata. There has to be, Shabbos is a queen and a bride. So who's the king? We're saying that the king is those 6 emotive attributes of the world of Atzilus. So the highest world, where things still feel like they're one with Hashem, the small face of Hashem that creates all of the neshamas of the Jewish people, that's the groom, or the king. And the sphere of Malchus is Malkata, is the queen. Okay? Now, Ve'ita Bazar, it says in the Zohar, the Malka belo matronita, a king without a queen. You guys are going to like this one. Lav ihu melech velav ihu gadol. A king without a queen is neither a king nor is he great. So you could be a king, and as long as you don't have a queen, you're not even considered a king and you're not great. Da'ikar hu yichud zun, because the importance of a king and a queen is their union. Okay? In these terms, we're talking about the union of how, remember, if there's everything passes through each sphera as it comes down to Malchus, and Malchus is the delivery boy, right? Malchus is the bridge that lets you go to the next step, next stage, the next world. If Hashem is collecting all of this light and gonna give it to the next world, right? To give it to the world of Bria. Everything that's collected, like let's say Hashem decides, guys, I have a plan, I'm doing something. Chochmah bin Adat. I decided, I used my intellect, it's a good idea, I brainstormed it, I understand it, ready to roll, right? All of the emotive attributes is Hashem actually putting that plan into place, right? He's building all the pieces, he's assembling everything, and now he actually wants to deliver it to his end consumer. If it doesn't reach Malchus, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't matter that anything happens along the way, right? So the whole importance of a king is that his queen delivers the message, right? So Malchus has to be there, and there's a concept in Chassidus that says that the beginning is wedged in the end, that there really is no start and is no end because they all loop right into each other. Because I'll tell you why. If I am Amazon and you just bought something from me, I could take it from the central distribution center, and I can put it on Amazon Prime Jet. and it can reach another airport, and that could be picked up by a truck, and that could be brought to a local distribution center, and that could be brought into the driver's van, and that van could drive all the way to your house. If that driver doesn't get out and put it in front of your house, it doesn't matter that all of that other stuff happened, because it's meaningless. You just wasted all this time, right? Malchus has to be the delivery boy. Malchus has to deliver Hashem's message. And this is why he's saying that a king without a queen is meaningless. If the queen isn't there to be the delivery of the king's message, then all the king's power and all of what he's able to accomplish is pretty meaningless, right? What's the purpose of all of that unless you're going to deliver, right? I could order my tov and they can make me a great pie, but if it never shows up, who cares, right? What's the purpose? So the whole purpose of this king and queen, of Hashem's face in the world of Atzilus, and delivering this to birth all these souls, is requiring Malchus of Atzilus. It's requiring the queen to be able to combine or unify with the king. Okay. It says in the Torah, when it comes to Adam and Chava, creation of man and woman, that only after God, when did Hashem bless them? He didn't bless Adam Arishon until Chava was there. He only blessed them when there were two of them. He blessed them together. Because without her, what would Adam be able to accomplish in this world? He wouldn't be able to create the rest of humanity. He needed Chava there, right? So
That's a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how he said that Hashem created the world, like the first time he created it was with so much light and it couldn't be,
Right, the world of
right?
Tov.
It's like, well, why did he have to create it that way with so much light in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same answer to why did Hashem only create Adam as one person in the first place? To show that the world, like I'm saying, is it the same purpose?
That's a solid question. I don't know the answer. I can tell you why the first world was created that way. I can't tell you if that relates to Adam and Chava, but I could look that up for you if you want.
Is Malchus the receiver or the giver, or is it both?
It's both.
Okay.
That's the beauty of Malchus.
It's like the Keely. It's
It gives and it takes and then gives. Yeah. And okay, I like that. So okay.
She's got this before.
Yeah.
What?
No, I've learned Chassidus from a totally different angle. So that's just.
Why didn't it I know I asked one to different cheer last week. I'm like, wait a minute.
Okay. So Hashem only blessed Adam and Chava when there were two of them. Okay. Now we have to understand how this relates to Shabbos, because we're saying Shabbat Malkata, right? That Shabbos is the queen, Shabbos is the bride, and we're likening Shabbos to this Malchus of Atzilus, this queen of Hashem's king. If Hashem's midos in the world of Atzilus are the king, then who is this queen and why does this matter? Okay, so you have to receive Shabbos with Simcha. So this is true of Shabbos, which is the bride also. Shabbos and the queen, or the bride, are the sources of all of the blessings, okay? Every single day of the week is blessed by your Shabbos, which is funny because everyone thinks that and then that you work for 6 days and then you chill on day 7, right? And that's when you have a break. Really, he's coming to say the opposite. He's saying what you do on Shabbos actually affects the rest of your week, okay? Because Shabbos is the source of bracha. So therefore, you have to receive Shabbos with joy, because Shabbos is the source of all of your blessings, and all of the days of the rest of the week are blessed, and therefore, a bride has to be received with joy because she's the source of all of the blessings. Okay, all right. So this pasuk that we're saying, Lecha Dodi likat kala pen hashav nekabla, ze Lecha Dodi kala nekabla sheomrim bekabalat Shabbat. You say this on Kabbalah Shabbos. Hu de'ita b'Gemara. It's like what it says in Gemara of Shabbos. Rabbi Chanina meyatav. Okay, that Rabbi Chanina would wrap himself in fine garments and get ready for Shabbos. V'kai apanya demale Shabbata. And he would say, guys, let's go greet the Shabbos. Amal bo v'netzeh likrat Shabbat makata. Let's go greet Shabbos. Rabbi Yanai lavish mane. Rabbi Yanai would wear nice Shabbos clothes on the Erev Shabbos. And what would he say? Boi kala. That he's saying, hey, okay, so we're giving examples to show that Shabbos is the bride, that Shabbos is the queen, that all these Rebbeim used to say it, okay? Ubezohar chelik gimel, in the Zohar, it says, B'Shabbat, bechol milui tzarich leitosfa michol ala kodesh. That every Shabbos, all preparation should be done before Shabbos, whether you're doing food or drink or whatever else. No matter how you're setting that up, and you should prepare like your rest, your lounge, your clothing, all this other stuff, just like you prepare for a bride, because Shabbat is a bride. So it's basically giving all these examples of how Shabbos is a bride and a queen, and just like Shabbos is the source of all the blessings, so the groom and the bride together, they receive all their blessings basically from their union together. Okay. So there's going to be honor in a chuppah. There's this pasuk in the chuppah that says that there are two kinds of honor. One honor is the honor of the groom, and one honor of the other is the honor of the bride. That they're both mutually important. Okay, the chatanu hakadosh baruch hu. So we said the chassan in our marriage is Hashem. Chamamar b'yom chatunato. When did Hashem marry us? Zo matan Torah. Matan Torah, Hashem married the Jewish people. Sha'akadosh baruch hu nikra chatan. Hashem is called the chassan. Uchneset Yisrael nikrat kala. And we, the Jewish people, are considered the kala. So we have this bride and groom analogy. We have Adam and Chava, that their bracha came together. We have the midos, the 6 midos in the spheros of Atzilus, marrying Malchus of Atzilus. And we have Hashem marrying the Jewish people in Matan Torah. Okay, v'chavod hu b'chinat mekif. So what's this honor that happens at a chuppah? This is this quality of like encompassing. There's like a light surrounding the chuppah. Kvod chatan ahavat hakadosh baruch hu. So the honor of the groom is Hashem's love of the Jewish people. L'knesset Yisrael, kamo shekatuv, ahavti etchem. Hashem says, I loved you, right? Uchvod kala. What is the honor of the bride? Avat Knesset Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there's this mutual love between the Bnei Israel and Hashem. He loves us and we love him. Okay. The reason we have a chuppah is because it's this lofty level that encompasses the chassan and kala together. The reason the chuppah is like that is because it surrounds the holiness of the chuppah surrounds the bride and groom together and brings about a union. V'chen hu lemata, and the same thing happens here in this world. De'aseder hu sheba'im rov am lekabel pnei hachatan. In this wedding ceremony, what happens first in this world? The guests come to greet the chassan, right? V'achar kach holchim im hachatan lekabel pnei hakala, and then everyone walks the chassan over to greet the bride, right? V'chatan mechaseh b'tzeif et hakala v'holchim lechuppah, and the chassan, depends on your custom, covers the bride with the veil, and then they go together to the chuppah, right? So even down here, we see that Hashem in the upper worlds, we see that Hashem initiates His love and says, "Guys, I want to marry you, so I'm forcing you out of Mitzrayim, and we're going to go to Har Sinai together, and we're going to give you the Torah." And then the bride, and then Hashem goes to greet the bride, which is us, just like it works down here, and then they go together to get married at Har Sinai, right? Vainyanu, and the deeper meaning of this, anytime you have this union between a giver and a receiver, so a bride, a groom, a groom and a bride, the motive attributes of the world of Atzilus, which pass along all of Hashem's Chochmah Bina Dat that He wants to deliver to us, they pass it along to Malchus. Anytime there's a giver-receiver in any relationship, okay? You have to begin this relationship where the receiver has to rise up to the level of the giver, and you're going to see that it also goes the other way around, okay? So externally, the chassan has to come down as the bride is walking up to come and greet the bride, right? He comes down off the chuppah, so he's...
Not for everybody,
Okay, so he's lowering himself to come and grab the wife and the bride, and because he comes down, it enables the bride to come up. So it's almost like there's this give and take situation. So if I am a teacher and I want to teach someone on my level, same exact thing that I know, they're in my level, we both studied pre-calc and algebra 2, and I want to teach them math on the same level, it's much easier for me. I don't have to bend down to go do it. But often, if I'm going to teach algebra 2 to a 4-year-old, I have to figure out how to dumb all that down and bring myself down to a level where that 4-year-old can now understand algebra 2, right? It requires a big bending down, right? I have to really reach down in order to pick up a little kid. Like, look at how a parent picks up their child, right? You can't stand 6 feet tall and put your arms out when your kid is on the floor, right? Like, you have to go down and reach and grab him. And that enables, by you coming down, that enables the kid to be elevated and be all the way up here, even though he's only this tall, right? So this giver-receiver relationship requires both parties to do something. Go ahead.
So the groom comes down to the bride to bring her up, but isn't the groom Hashem?
Yes, and he came down to get
He
us
came
from
down to
Mitzrayim,
get. Okay.
right? And that enabled us
No,
to
wait,
lift
he came down by
ourselves up.
Matan Torah in order. No. That
First, he
way?
came down to Mitzrayim,
Okay.
and he brought us, and then we came to Matan Torah.
Right.
Okay, so, and to take this one step further, if you want to kiss your child, right? The intention of you picking your kid up off the floor is to give them a kiss, right? But it has to start with the external, more shallow. I'm not just kissing you on the floor. I'm bending down. I pick you up, and now I can kiss you, right? So it requires like a more external or shallow initial effort on my part, and on the kid's part, it requires him to put his hands up so he could be lifted. Once I have lifted him and he has put his hands up for me to lift him and rises up with me, now I can kiss my kid and we both benefit on a more internal level, right? I have to do more. I have to do something initially to create that external connection, and now we can both prosper together and enjoy the internal connection, right? So with this giver-receiver analogy, there's always this external, and then once we've accepted that, we can have this external connection, okay? Okay. So to further understand this, the rabbi said, Rabba mekame de fatach lehu lerabanan, amar milta, that every time Rabba would start teaching his students, amar milta de bdichuta, he used to make a joke every single time. And if you go to any shul, rabbis are oftentimes starting with some sort of joke. After that, he would sit and teach. Why? Because I have to soften you up a little bit so that you're ready to receive whatever I'm willing to give you, right? The joke itself doesn't necessarily have a purpose if I stop at the joke. If, whoever your rabbi is, you come to and he gives a joke and then he just leaves and it's Kiddush time, you'll be like, what kind of speech was that, right? Like, I never got anywhere. But if he didn't give that joke, maybe your ears wouldn't perk up and you wouldn't loosen up and be ready to hear Torah. So he has to do that to soften you up, right? So there's a preparing of the receiver in order to be able to give. It's like, hey, son, I really want you to learn Torah with me. But first, I have to take you bowling, because then you're going to be in a good mood and you're going to be happy. So the bowling itself on its own doesn't serve a purpose, but because it's allowing me to open you up and now you can learn Torah with me, that gives you, makes you much more of a receptacle. You're able to receive. And so depending on the level of the student, if you look at a student-teacher relationship, depending on how vast the gap is between the teacher and the student, that shows how much more the teacher has to go down, right? Like, bring some Oxford professor of science or NASA, rocket scientist to come teach a 4-year-old. He has to go way down because his stature is up here, right? And so the more Hashem comes to us, and he himself came to us, because there's literally no relationship in the entire universe that has a bigger gap than man and God. And if you right now picked whoever is your idol in whatever industry or facet or wherever they're in, and they came down and picked the lowliest of the low, you would say to yourself, oh my God, look how much this person reached out of their way and how meaningful that would be to reach the person that they came to, right? Like if Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have dinner, who cares, right? Like, okay, you're on the same playing field, but like if one of them called me, I'd be like, whoa, dude, you're like way up here and I'm a nobody and like you found me, right? Like that would be meaningful, right? There's no greater, vast gap than Hashem and the Jewish people, right? And that's who he chose to make his bride, which means Hashem had to take a very big step down in this whole order of creation and also in just choosing us as his bride, yet he still chose us. And if you don't feel wanted by Hashem after understanding that, then I can't help you, because there is no greater decline than for the infinite to choose the most finite, gross, coarse. We can do ridiculous things. We can be disgusting. We can ignore Torah. We can ignore each other. We can be terrible people. And yet, that's who he chose, right? And not only did he choose our souls, he chose us here in our bodies. Like, we were slaves in Mitzrayim. And yeah, we had souls in our bodies, but he didn't come to us and say, all right, guys, look, I'll make you a deal. You guys are gross. You're on the 49th level of Tumah. All you have is your language and your dress. Why don't I kill you all? Leave your bodies in Mitzrayim. I'll take your neshamas back and we'll all chill together, right? I love your neshamas. You're great. Hashem's like, guys, you guys are gross and I want to marry you. Let's get married, right? Imagine, I went to some homeless shelter and picked some chick up and said, let's go to Vegas, right? That wouldn't be normal. You'd be like, what is this? But that's literally what Hashem did times infinite. So Hashem literally is like, guys, I want to create this union with you where I can't even be a king without you, right? I can't be king without you, and I'm choosing you in the lowest of lows. So this shows you how much decline there is from him to us, and yet he still chose all of us, okay?
I feel like that's like such a lesson for us, like in the sense of how we should treat others. Meaning, like, that we're supposed to be, that God created man in his image,
Yeah.
but not just his physical image, all of his image, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying, all his attributes. So, just like with us in general, there's sometimes, you look at someone and you're like, oh, she's beneath me. Like, meaning, like, why should I help this person? Like, they're not, like, who are they? Like, meaning they're a nobody. Meaning it's almost like, no, that's who you should be helping. You should be helping, meaning for me to help my friend, like, good for you. Meaning, like, we're friends for a long time. Like, I'm happy to help you. But someone comes to you that has nothing to offer you, nothing to whatever. Like, I feel like that's almost like not that they should be like, oh, they're the peasant disgusting, but like almost like, no, I want to be helping you. Like, look what Hashem did for us, the Jewish people. He married us.
It is a bigger mitzvah, no?
What?
To help, like, not your friend and to help someone who, like, is not, like, you don't know as much, or, like...
Right. I mean, I would assume it is.
And everyone.
I feel like that's what we...
Right? I would assume it.
And everyone. has
What
to-
was the thing Hashem did that?
What?
Right, and everyone else.
Give an example.
Right. First of all, there's everything to benefit from everybody. Everyone has something amazing about
slaves in
it.
Mitzrayim that were super
But it's hard, right? It is
impure
hard.
in
But even when your
bodies,
friend
and
comes to you and
if
says,
you
"Can you
look
do
at
me
the
a
whole
favor for
Haggadah,
XYZ?"
because
Versus
he's
some
in the whole
random person
Haggadah,
who
it
you
says
really
that
don't
he
know, who
himself
like
came into
has
exile
will
in
never
Mitzrayim,
ever be able to
not
offer
through
you
a
anything
malach,
back,
not
or
through
not
a
that you
shalach,
know of
not through a
yet.
messenger,
Right.
right?
It's kind of like
Hashem,
right, but if you
Uva
kind of
Kvodo, came
picture in your
and took
head,
us out
well,
of Mitzrayim
look what Hashem did
to
for
bring
us.
us up.
Like, why shouldn't I be helping
Right.
them?
Except if Jeff Bezos found you sleeping in a dumpster.
Right, that's what I'm
and said,
saying.
"Hey,
Because
let's go get
of
married."
that whole lesson, I feel like there's like
But
a
a million
deeper
times
lesson
more
in
because you
that whole
can't
thing.
compare infinite
That's my
to
thought.
whatever.
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
with it.
Does that mean like the love is
I'm taking it and running.
Did make your class.
That the
I'm
what?
taking it and running with
Like,
it.
I feel like
Which love?
Hashem
Hashem with us because like
No.
midwife is I feel like it's kind of conditional, like
It's not. If it was conditional, then he would look at who we were and say, "You're not fit."
Why would he want him?
So then wouldn't it be better to say
I mean,
parent and child? Like
you're
fantastic. That's
fantastic.
more.
Like, I get you. I understand you.
A parent to a child?
Yeah, and then like it's more like parent and child is completely unconditional.
No, but that's what he's saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, he
But
loves
the
us.
union,
Because he
but the
loves us.
union of our souls and
It's like a million
him
other words.
are a little bit different because of what it brings about. You're right,
So what,
but
you
you're
should
gonna
take
see
it to
what
Asians? That's like, I don't know. What did you want him to say? Who did you
They
want?
are smarter than us.
They are, I'm saying. Like,
I'm saying on different worlds. Why did why?
what do you mean? Like someone on Mars? Like, what do you mean? Like, what people?
Like the levels.
Oh, no, I'm saying the Malachim are just there. He didn't, like, I'm saying,
Okay, I have to hit this one point.
I've seen
I have to hit this one point.
okay, wait, he's doing one more.
Okay, I have to hit this
Oh,
point.
what do you think?
The Lecha.
Yeah, a little protein bean thing?
I was gonna ask you who made them.
I did. It's like, when does she do it? How does she do it? I'll tell you.
She's not just a flower lady.
No, it's because I don't sleep.
What kind of peanut butter is it? I'm gonna
What?
try after. Peanut butter?
It's really good.
Yeah, it's peanut butter.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, he's,
Okay, you're,
I had time to like.
guys,
look at me,
he's
like,
hidden at home, so
no,
gotta
you're good.
listen.
All right, well, it's
Alright.
not home because we're not gonna finish today, but this is.
It's not gonna be like
this
slam
is.
not like
This
a
is.
grand
I mean,
finale,
it is.
fireworks,
It is.
nothing,
But
okay.
it is. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
the joke. Make a joke.
Okay. Now
Down to the level.
another thing about how he, because I want her to hear this because
Wait, which one?
she has a problem with why he did all of this for us.
Ariella
And
or
we talked
Sheena?
about Sheena. Talked about this last
We're
time.
all
Okay.
just focused on you, girl.
Okay.
She's
We
like,
talked
I'm
about this
never
last
opening
time.
my mouth at Shiur ever again.
Okay. So there's a pasuk that says that Hashem sent to Ephraim and took them upon his arms. That he brought us and raised us in his arms. Okay, and Hashem is called Anochi Misha Anochi, that I am who I am. Now it means that Hashem actually lowered himself so much, but how did he do it? Where did he lower himself to? In order to raise us up, right? We had this analogy of a teacher and a student, where you have to start with a joke to warm up the crowd, and then they're receptive. Or a father has to bend down and lower himself for the son to be able to rise up. Why? So that when he raises him up, he can give him a kiss, right? How did Hashem do that for us? Dafka bichdei lagia neshmat Yisrael. How did he do it? Through his mitzvahs. He put his desire, his innermost desire, and he said, I'm going to put my desires, my deepest, above my intellect, and I'm going to put them into the lowest thing in this world. I'm going to take not just like my emotions, right? I'm going to take what's above my brain, what's above my thought, my desire, which is for you to do mitzvahs, and I'm going to embed that in what? In action-based mitzvahs, the lowest thing a Jew can do in this world. It's nice and holy to learn Torah. You're using your mind. You're engaging your highest attribute. It's nice to speak Torah. You're using your mouth. Your mouth can speak. Your mouth can pray. But action, which seems like, the least we can do, is what he dumped his highest, most important desires into. Action-based mitzvahs. Why? So that he could raise us up by us doing technically the lowest thing that we can do. So this is how much of a degradation it is to go from Hashem's desire, because we're saying desire lives up here above your brain. It's like the crown on top of your. So Hashem put his crown into action-based mitzvahs so that we could grab onto that, and then he could pick us all the way up. Dehina Adam hu olam katan. It says man is an entire world. Every man is an entire world, a microcosm of the whole world. Okay. Just like the world has day and night, and then in the daytime shines light. And it says in Bereshit that he called the light daytime. And when the daytime recedes, when the light recedes, he calls that night. Ken hu ba'adam. So too it's with man. Gam ken b'ruchaniyut deyesh bo yom v'layla, that man spiritually has within him night and day, and gam k'yeshev b'choshech. All right, and choshech hu olam hazeh, the darkness is this physical world. The olam hazeh nikra choshech lefi shehu olam hasheker. So when light, we know that darkness doesn't actually have its own matter. It doesn't exist. Darkness is just a lack of light. If you take light out, there's darkness. Light has particles. Darkness doesn't have particles. It's just a lack of light. So spiritually, there's light, which is all spiritual existence and our understanding of godliness. Physically, there's darkness. Because why? It's a removal of the light. All the light that Hashem could have given us, that he sent down into all of the worlds of creation, he sent down until there was not really much light left, just enough to allow this place to exist. And therefore he removed all his light so that this world can exist in darkness, right? So that's why this world is called the world of deception or the world of falsehood, because just like when it's dark, en adam ro'eh ma'oma, when it's dark, you can't see anything at all, right? You could be oblivious to the fact that you're standing at the edge of a cliff or some other dangerous thing. You simply just don't know because you can't see it, right? And the same thing is true of this physical world. That I can't tell what you feel about me because I can't see what's in your brain, right? Everything is hidden in this world. But I can express a certain sentiment with my mouth. I can use words, and I could feel something totally different. I could think you are terrible, and I could say, oh my God, you're the greatest person, right? I could lie about what's really going on, right?
I can do that.
Most people can.
I can't do that.
Okay, fine.
That's my face will show it. So I can, where does that come in? I don't know. I'm not agreeing with you. Continue.
So this physical world that we live in is called darkness, since it's full of deception, and you can't really see what's going on. Whereas the world to come, the time of Mashiach, is called Olam HaEmet, the world of truth, and this world is called Olam HaSheker, okay? V'zeu gam esher b'choshech. This is why it says that this pasuk says that though I sit in darkness, Hashem is a light unto me, because Hashem is the light in this physical dark world, that God is a light to the Jewish people, and that's why the Torah is a light to the Jewish people, because even in the greatest darkness, the light of Hashem can shine and remove the darkness, okay? Ve'adua de Elokim begimatria teva. So everyone knows the name of God, Elokim. There's Yud Kei Vav Kei Ad Hashem, and there's Elokim. Elokim has the same gematria as Hateva, which is nature, because the purpose of Elokim is to create a concealment, is to create a world where you think that things happen on their own, right? The world's on autopilot. The sun rises, the sun sets, the seasons come, all this happens. You can justify, and millions of people did this forever, that God doesn't run what goes on a daily basis. It just kind of happens on its own because that's nature, right? Nature has the same gematria as Elokim. While meanwhile Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hashem's name, which is infinite, says he was, he is, and he will always be, right? Hava Vevayeh is Yud Kei Vav Kei, the dimension of Hashem that transcends this whole cycle of nature. Now we said before that Yud Kei Vav Kei, the infinite name of Hashem, is what gives light to all of the existence, even in the world of nature. And Hashem created this world in a way where you can't see that he's behind it, even though he's recreating it every single second. Yes?
You could finish your sentence.
Yeah, but you are still able to exist here because he's creating you, but you don't feel it. Where Hashem says, guys, Yud Kei Vav Kei, my infinite name, is going to provide energy to sustain all of you, but I'm going to hide it, or I'm going to conceal it by my name Elokim, by Teva or nature, that makes you think that it runs on its own. Ask away.
Ariella, you're up.
So I feel like my mindset a lot of times is usually that if a person does their hishtadlus, or if something is like makes sense to happen, like al pi teva, let's say, then it usually happens that way. Is that like a correct mentality?
Meaning
Like if something makes
you have
sense-
expectations.
No, I guess just like if something makes sense to happen, like you study really hard for a test, you know the information, you get a good mark.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
I mean,
There's a
that's the
status,
way
yeah,
that
sure.
So
Right.
let's say like on a different scale.
But it doesn't
let's say.
always work like that,
But
right?
it usually does.
You
what
can
I'm
work
trying to
really
say.
hard in business and just have no customers and your business fail, right? Like
Right.
it's not there are probabilities, sure. That's natural.
Is that the
It doesn't
probability?
take
Is that
away
like-
from Hishtadlus.
Like Jewish?
I guess what I'm saying is like
Something
my mindset is like if you work hard at something or you do your shalos or you like Hashem sees your effort, then it usually pays off.
Sure.
Like is that like a mindset that gives a
That's not a wrong. That's not an
Like,
incorrect.
is it okay to like rely on that? I guess.
It's like
Just say, like,
Listen,
I
it's
see
like
how hard
saying
you
I
work,
have
so
bitachon
it's gonna happen.
that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, right? My bitachon in Hashem, in the infinite God, is one that says nature is going to keep going. So if I work hard, I will probably make some money, right? If I study for this test, I will do well, right? That doesn't, just because you acknowledge that nature exists, that Hashem exists in this realm, like
Like it's not 100% guaranteed.
when
but
you
it's
run
a
your own
mindset
business,
that
when you
has-
run your own business, right?
Right.
The most difficult thing for Jewish entrepreneurs is to understand how their efforts don't actually provide their parnasa. Like,
Michael Safdie. Sorry.
right? I went right, B'tachon Daily, right?
Yeah.
I went to work. I worked really hard. I had lots of good ideas, and Hashem gave me my parnasa. That is the ideal of what a Jew can say as it relates to work. Now, other people might say, look, I went to work. I did it, right? And the Jew really does go to work. He puts in the effort. She puts in the effort. They do what they're supposed to do.
Maybe Hashem saw my efforts and decided to.
Elohim and Yud Kei Vav Kei don't negate each other. So long as you recognize that Yud Kei Vav Kei, that Hashem's infinite light, is what gives power to the nature, you're not negating one way or another. Like if I went to this NASA thing in Space Center in Orlando, right? And they were talking about how they put this telescope up in space and it flies around and they get to see the origins of creation because these stars are exploding and all this other stuff, right? Like I could see that that's what happens in space and be like, wow, Hashem's amazing that he does all that and that he creates this whole system and maybe that led to something, or maybe it's just a decoy to get people to think that there's no God. But either way, those things are real and Hashem created them, right? It doesn't have to negate, one doesn't have to negate the other. You can say, oh, well, guess what? Stars explode and they form galaxies and whatever else. Okay, cool. That doesn't mean there's no Hashem and that he's not the power behind all of that, right? So Hishtadlus doesn't negate bitachon or hashgacha or the fact that there's divine energy that God, and remember we talked about this last week, that time is a creation of this world, and beyond that it's hard for us to fathom because it's impossible to understand that, but it's not crazy for things to naturally happen according to the progression of this world and also line up with what Hashem actually wanted to happen for you.
So how do you know how much effort to put in?
What?
How are you supposed to know?
Just
how
ask me, I'll tell you.
Like if I get a certain order, I'm like, oh, I could. Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah.
You don't know. The answer is you don't really know.
Listen to Daily Bitachon. It's so good.
Michael Safdie.
I'm on it. I'm on that chat.
It's literally the best
So, by the way, it's so good.
thing.
That
He's
is a good
very good.
question,
Right. It's right. It's how are you supposed to know when to stop? Meaning you could just keep going.
Maybe when you start like really pushing it.
I could do that.
It's so good.
Like
Send it
whatever
to
you
the
Not like
chat.
he's not like a rabbi. He's just like a dude that yells at you about, and he like also reads about. And I'm just
Just
like,
a dude that yells at
yes,
you.
I don't get
yes.
what.
Michael Safdie.
He's screaming.
I love it.
I played it out loud in the middle of 7 Mile just because I thought it was funny.
No, you
And
can't.
so many people turned around, and I was like, "This is fantastic!" Like I just let play it. I'm like, "Yeah, it was me."
So good.
My sister-in-law's obsessed with him.
Yeah, we all are.
Are you in that chat?
Right.
Yeah.
I'll send it to the.
Yeah, send it. It's a very good chat.
Sorry.
There's so
You're
many people in
good.
the chat. He's like a very successful guy, by the way. Yeah, no, he's like a super successful guy. Yeah.
You have to be Sephardi for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, I'm not Sephardi.
No, to yell at people about bitachon.
But not everyone would appreciate that. Kyla's super into him. I'm like, it's so cute. He's so cute.
Should we do questions now?
Oh, I had a question. I had a question. Does anyone else